You follow the labels, track the milligrams, and wait for the results. Yet for many, the promised boost in energy or mental clarity remains elusive. We often assume that if a specific mineral is missing, we can simply swallow a capsule to correct the deficit and feel the difference immediately. The supplement industry relies on a marketing logic that treats these minerals as isolated solutions for specific failures. Calcium is sold exclusively for bone density. Iron is marketed as a direct fuel for cellular energy. This suggests that the body consumes nutrients as a simple checklist of independent ingredients. Inside the digestive tract, minerals behave as a dynamic series of biological gates. When you ingest a high-density multi-mineral supplement, you are introducing dozens of different elements into a narrow, highly regulated environment all at once. This leads to competitive absorption. To reach your bloodstream, minerals pass through specific protein receptors in the intestinal wall. Because many minerals share the exact same transport pathways, a large dose of one physically blocks another, regardless of what your body needs more. The metric that defines your actual physical gain is bioavailability. This is the specific percentage of an ingested dose that successfully crosses the gut barrier to be utilized by your cells. This diagram illustrates excitation-contraction coupling, where calcium ions, Ca2+, bind to troponin, triggering the mechanical shift that allows muscle contraction. While essential, the gut can only transport roughly 500 milligrams of calcium at once. Once receptor sites are occupied, excess passes as waste. This creates a direct conflict with magnesium. Magnesium activates the enzymes required for protein synthesis and manages the relaxation phase after a high-intensity stress response. When calcium and magnesium are present in the gut simultaneously, they neutralize one another. The chemical presence of high-dose calcium prevents magnesium from binding to its transporters, effectively locking it out of the bloodstream. Taking a massive multi-mineral pill results in excretion of unabsorbed calcium, while magnesium is prevented from reaching the tissues relying on it for recovery. Iron is the primary oxygen carrier within hemoglobin and myoglobin. Your cellular oxygen capacity, and therefore your endurance, is tied to how efficiently iron is absorbed. Clinical data shows that the presence of calcium actively inhibits iron absorption. If you consume a calcium supplement alongside your iron, the calcium occupies the pathways, forcing the iron to remain in the gut. Zinc presents a different challenge, often supplemented to minimize immune responses and promote tissue repair. To maintain health, the body requires a specific 1:10 ratio between copper and zinc. Because these two minerals compete for the same transport proteins, an excessive intake of zinc depletes the body of copper, leading to weakness and impaired respiratory function. Fixing a zinc deficiency in isolation frequently generates a new copper deficiency, as the body cannot maintain balance under a heavy supplemental load. While we have focused on bulk minerals, the body also requires trace minerals, such as selenium, which operate on a much smaller scale. These elements are required in micrograms, millions of a gram. They are necessary in such minute amounts that even a small error has significant consequences. With trace elements, the margin for error is narrow. Just 10 milligrams of copper can trigger nausea, and 3.5 grams can be fatal. This micro-scale requirements contrast with bulk electrolytes like sodium and potassium. Electrolytes are used in macro quantities to maintain the electrical charge across cell membranes, which is the foundation for every nerve transmission and heartbeat. At the same time, trace elements like manganese and molybdenum must lock into enzymes to catalyze the chemical reactions that sustain life. Human physiology operates across these vastly different scales of demand. Ignoring these natural ratios leads to a breakdown in the complex systems managing your health. Swallowing a handful of isolated minerals creates a traffic jam at the gut barrier. The body cannot effectively sort through high-volume, competing doses delivered at the same moment. To improve absorption, calcium should be limited to doses of 500 milligrams or less and spread across the day. To avoid the iron blockade, you should consume iron and calcium at different times, ensuring the pathways for iron are clear when it arrives in the gut. Whole foods provide minerals in lower, more manageable concentrations. Unlike isolated supplements, these sources often include cofactors, like vitamin C or animal proteins, that facilitate transport and help the body maintain the correct ratios between competing elements. Every supplement you take interacts with a complex biological system. That system is easily overloaded by isolated doses. For more evidence-based breakdowns of human physiology and nutrition, subscribe to the channel.